Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Oh, flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let's see, relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the Traffic Avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the Traffic Avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you.
City 97.3.
Accra.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios here at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. My name is Seedling. Tonight I'm here with
Akusia Ochre.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes, as the country embarks on yet another Green Ghana Day, some have expressed concern about accountability measures put in place to ensure that the trees planted match the funds allocated for the exercise.
We do not allow this scheme, well intended as it is, to become an avenue for corruption. Mr. Speaker, as things stand now, instead of greening Ghana, it looks like a green corruption to me.
Meanwhile, some suppliers of seedlings to government for the previous editions of the Green Ghana project say they have not been paid. Also coming up on Eyewitness News, Media Coalition Against Galamsey frustrated at what they call the seeming lack of action in the prosecution of the directors of Akunta Mining Limited in the face of clear evidence of mining in a forest reserve. The coalition met with the CID boss today. More details later on the show. Still on Eyewitness News, 17 MDC MPs who lost their party's recent parliamentary primaries pledge support to work to bring the NDC to power. Meanwhile, the entire minority group met today with their flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama. Details on the show soon. Stay with 97.3 City FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News and in business.
Ghana Chamber of Mines reiterates commitment to ensure practice of sustainable methods in mining exploration.
There is more in business with Natali Nete Ajahu. Eyewitness News is live across the country on all our affiliates and around the globe at citynewsroom.com. Your comments are welcome via WhatsApp line 0549-986-996. You can follow me on Twitter at Seedling Adunu. The hashtag, as always, is City Newsroom. Very first story with Akusia.
President Akufo-Addo has reiterated his government's unwavering dedication to safeguarding the environment in the face of climate change, recognizing the pressing need for sustainable measures counter the detrimental impact of global warming. The president emphasized government's commitment to environmental protection. He highlighted ongoing initiatives such as the Green Ghana project, which aims to restore the nation's forest cover through large-scale tree planting. Now, during the commemoration of the 2023 Green Ghana Day, President Akufo-Addo called on all Ghanaians to actively participate in preserving the environment.
We must continue to work together to ensure that our contribution to climate solution is positive, transformative, and sustainable. I'm proud of the successes we have charted over the first 2 years of implementation of this project. It was important that we review our target downwards this year to devote some time and resources to nurturing the over 23 million trees that have survived over the past 2 years. Today, we have another opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to saving planet Earth and protecting our livelihoods. The theme for this year, our forests, our health, is a clarion call for the need to preserve our forests for our own survival. We must do this with a sense of urgency and renewed purpose, noting that success depends on our collective action. This is a duty we owe not only to current generations, but also to generations yet unborn. We must do it with the spirit of nationalism, solidarity, and most importantly, love for ourselves, our country, and our planet. I commend the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources for instituting the One Student, One Tree initiative alongside this Green Ghana project. Through this, we can inculcate the culture of tree planting in our youth and hopefully jettison the culture of impunity that leads to the destruction of our forests.
You heard that President Akufo-Addo. Now, in a bid to enhance Ghana's reforestation efforts, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Samuel Abdullahi Jinapor called on citizens to embrace a sense of ownership and accountability towards the trees they plant.
Our commitment to implementing nature-based solutions to halt climate change. With the support of all stakeholders, over 23 million of the trees planted in the first 2 editions of the Green Ghana Day have survived. And this year, we have the opportunity to add 10 million and more trees to this number. This 10 million target will allow us to devote more resources to nurture the maturing trees planted in the last 2 editions, in addition to those we planted today. The Ministry of Land, through the Forestry Commission, will continue to provide support for the nurturing of these trees. While we do so, we entreat each and every one of you to take responsibility for nurturing these trees in your homes, offices, and communities for them to grow to maturity. As is customary, each Green Ghana Day, we have made adequate seedlings available at the various offices of the Forestry Commission and other designated places. These include timber species, shade trees, ornamental trees, fruit trees, and multi-purpose trees. All we require from Ghanaians and residents of Ghana is for them to come out, take seedlings, plant them, and nurture them to maturity.
Samuel Abdullahi Jinapor is the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. Now, the Deputy Ranking Member on the Lands and Forestry Commission of Parliament, Al-Hassan Suhini, urged the government to work together with Parliament to prevent the Green Ghana initiative from becoming a breeding ground for corruption.
All right, so Al-Hassan Suhini, who is Member of Parliament for Tamale North and Ranking Member on the Lands and Natural Resources Committee of Parliament, is joining us on the line to help us appreciate really what his concerns about accountability for the Green Ghana project is. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Government is so happy that it says over 23 million trees are doing well. That should certainly be good news for anybody concerned with the environment and anybody who takes natural resource management, etc. I'm serious. Then you are ranking member or deputy ranking member on the committee in Parliament. But what really are your concerns with the way government is managing the Green Ghana project?
Thank you very much, Shalom. Let me say good evening to you and those who are listening to us. Shalom, my concern is that all over the world there is concern over how much money is attracted towards supporting programs and projects meant to deal with climate change, mitigations and adaptation. And the concerns are basically because of how much money is going there and how less anti-corruption strategies and measures are put in place in the utilization of those funds. And so as a country, there's a need for us to be concerned. I mean, over the last 5 or so years, if you look at our budget statements that have been presented in Parliament over the years, government has so far spent almost 500 million, half a billion Ghana cedis on national afforestation programs in the country. They are budgeted, let me say, of almost 500 million Ghana cedis on national afforestation programs. But you and I know that the level of devastation to our forest is on the ascendancy. So there's a need for us to ask ourselves the hard question of what we are getting for how much we are putting into projects aimed at protecting our forest and improving the forest cover in the country, when the records show that there is a high rate of depletion of our forest. And so this Green Ghana program, like I stated on the floor of the House, in my view, is well intended. It is aimed at improving the forest cover in the country. And year in, year out, monies are allocated to it. We are told the number of trees that are planted without any clear-cut mechanism to determine if indeed the numbers that are churned out are the numbers that are really being, planted on the ground. We are told of percentage of performance, and you do not know the criteria that is used to determine the percentage of success when it comes to how well the planted trees are doing. The issue of contracting is not clear. How many people, how are people contracted, for example, to supply seedlings? Is it based on competitive bidding? Is it just hand-picking? How do we procure these seedlings that are usually, we do not know? And that is why I said on the floor of the House that as much as this is important and has to be done, it has to be done in such a way that it does not become a scheme that is just meant to siphon money. And so if it is Green Ghana, it must be Green Ghana and not green corruption. But how it looks now, it seems that if we are not very careful later in future, if we begin to do a post-mortem like we usually do in this country, we are all going to be surprised that it is green corruption and not Green Ghana.
That's very interesting points you've raised and very legitimate points as well. But you sit in Parliament. Is it not a part of your oversight role to call the Minister, for example, for Lands and Natural Resources, or your colleague Benito Usubi, who chairs the Green Ghana Project Committee, to account to the Committee of Lands and Natural Resources how resources allocated to the project is being used? Is that not what your committee should be doing, sir?
Those are the steps that have started. I recall that in 2022, I filed a question for the minister to tell us how many trees had been planted, how many contractors were used, and all of that. He provided that information, and it was that information I used in my debate yesterday as well. The minister at the time told us about 4.89 million trees had been planted. That was for the 2021 season. However, a couple of weeks just after he provided us with that answer, just weeks, not months, the president came and during his SONA, he said they had planted 7 million trees, 2 million more than they targeted. And that, for me, was it was the difference between the figure the minister provided and the figure the president provided. In my view, the difference was that significant, and it could not account for the number of days that had elapsed since the minister provided his answer. Because the minister's explanation was that at the time that he was answering the question, perhaps the data was not all put together, and so it was during the SONA that they had the full report from all the regions. But I thought that 4.8 and 7 million still raises the question. So the next step is for the minister to appear before the committee and to make available to us the audited accounts that he says are available so that we can all go through it to satisfy ourselves that indeed it is not a scheme that is used to bleed the state. But apart from even the monetary aspect, in terms of how we assess, how well the trees are doing, we need to have a formula that is verifiable. So that when we say that we are planting 10 million trees this year, next year, if we say 70% of the trees are doing well, there is a clear-cut formula that is verifiable by anybody who wishes to verify that indeed 70% of the 10 million trees that are planted this year are doing well. As things stand now, there is nothing of that sort before us. It is just based on, reports from the ministry that is not backed by any data that shows how the calculation is done. We will be demanding that also when we make a request from the minister to submit to us the audited accounts that he says are available.
I see. Very interesting. Of course, I mean, some of the points you raised, others have also, said same. So, for example, who is managing this, for example? I mean, we're working the lines to speak to the government on this matter, really. But will you know what the role of the district assemblies or the district municipal and metropolitan assemblies will be in this? Because, for example, when you use the Medina Road, you see early morning, there are water tanks, trying to water some of those seedlings or those trees or plants. Will you know what the role of district assemblies, is in this?
So you see, I have repeatedly said that this program has all the good intentions that you can think of when it comes to improving our forest cover. And that is why my approach is not to throw the baby away with the bathwater. What is important is for us to fix what looks or seems wrong with it so that we can use this program to continue to galvanize the nation, to draw attention to the need for all of us to grow trees. They say that people who grow trees that they know they will not sit under are indeed people who have foresight and think about the future. And that is why I agree also with the ranking member, Honorable Rashid Perko, yesterday, when in his contribution, he stated that the minority is willing to support any project that is aimed at improving our forest cover and the greenery in this country. But we will not be lending our support to pretentious means of doing that. For example, the issue of EI-144 is still something that is on our heart. The fact that the Achimota forest is, gazetted to no longer be a forest reserve is still of concern. And one way of giving confidence to people that this is a government that is really committed to improving the forest cover of this country is for them to declassify, to change their position on the declassification of the Achimota forest. And I have been on this matter, that the only way the president can prove to us that he means well when it comes to the protection of our forest is to change his position on the Achimota forest. So looking at the Green Ghana project in the manner that it is couched now, we think that a lot of improvement can still be brought about for all of us to get the benefits of the program. And that is why we are raising some of these concerns. Clearly, as things stand now, the measures, anti-corruption measures especially, that should put all of us at ease that this program is delivering to meet the expectations of well-meaning Ghanaians is not there.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm the Honorable Alasan Suhini. Of course, very good points you raised there. People have also raised issues about what is happening to our forest reserves in respect of, illegal mining, etc. Whilst we keep, putting in a lot of money trying to green the country, destroying it in one sense and then also pumping in money to plant more trees. We're working alliance to get the appropriate authorities. When we get them, we'll put the questions to them as to who is in charge of it, how is funding made available, because we know that the budget this year made room for 2.5 million, but we are told that the project this year will cost some 5 million Ghana cedis. What the role of MMDCs, etc., have been in this, and what is the measurement for the 80% success we talk about? President said 23 million trees are thriving. How did we count them? Where are the trees? Who really is in charge of that? These are questions we really need answers to, and we are working the lines to get the appropriate authorities to respond to them. Thank you so much, the Honorable Alasan Sweeney, for speaking to us. Still on this matter, we speak to some seedling sellers or persons who provided seedlings to government for the project in the past editions. They say that they've not been paid. They've not been paid for the seedlings they provided, and so we speak to some of them to see really how much government owes them and what they intend to do about that. Samuel Amoa is a member of the Plantation and Seedling Scheme, one of those groups that supplied government seedlings for the project in the previous years. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Yes, so your group, Plantation and Seedling Scheme, who are you and when were you formed?
Good evening again, and thank you to your listening, cherished listeners. We formed this, as you know, in every society. Before your voice can be heard, you need to put yourself together. In view of this, we, the Plantation Developers and Seedlings Contractors Association, formed this association in Kumasi. And we know for the past 2 months, we've been behind the scenes. We've been writing letters to the ministry. We've been pressurizing Forestry Commission. We even once a time went to finance so that they can pay us. We've spoken to them. We've done all that we could, but still they've not paid us.
But so, how much are you owed? How much does government owe you?
Earlier on, if you quite remember, we said the government owes us about 28 billion, and then Honorable Benito quickly came back to
28 what? 28 what? Million
Ghana cedis.
Million.
And then Honorable Benito came back to rebut that figure, and he said 28 million Ghana cedis. Well, we are not challenging him.
Sorry, let's get this. You said initially you said government owed you 28 billion Ghana cedis, but 28 billion. And the Honorable Benito said, corrected you as you say, that no, it's not 28 billion, but it's 28 million. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But what is the right figure? You provided or supplied the seedlings. How much really does government owe you?
Yes, you see, we cannot get the exact figure because they have the data. We are these seedling contractors. We are not the only people. The group that we are talking to, we are not the only people. We have people.
But you don't know how much government owes you, so it's government's figure you will work with.
Yes, but Honorable Benito made us to know that government owes the contractors 28 million Ghana cedis.
Yes, because 28 billion, as you were claiming, was outrageous. 28 billion is a lot of money. 28 million appears, reasonable. But it's strange that you claim government owes you. You do not know how much government owes you. You don't keep records. You don't know how many seedlings you provided government. You don't know how much one seedling costs, so you could multiply it and see that the figure government owes you. So when government tells you I owe you 1 cedi, you will take it. Government says I don't owe you, you will take it.
No, we didn't take it because, as I said, we have people who have raised the trees, supplied government from Western North, from Brownhafu, from Ashanti, from Eastern, from Northern, who we didn't have the data. You get it? So, but the latest data we had was about 28 billion that we said, and Honorable Benito debunked that figure. Whatever it is, all that we need is that if even we owe us 1 cedi, you pay us. That is all that we need. It's the payment that matters. to us. Because we've not been paid for about since 2021, 2022, both Green Ghana and then the normal afforestation that they've been doing. But we have been raising seedlings for them, and they are not paying us.
Very well, so how what's the arrangement really between you and government? How were you contracted? How were your services procured? How did you get to enter this arrangement with government? You were just called one day that supplied seedlings, or there was a process you went through and your group was chosen? How did you get to provide or supply government the seedlings?
You see, individual have their contracts. So we applied. I have my company, somebody has his company. There are so many companies put together. And then we applied to the Forestry Commission. The Forestry Commission will say, okay, supply this. At the end of the day, when the time is due, we go to the district managers or the district forest officers at the various districts. That they will tell you, send this to this point, send this to this point, send this to this point. At the end of the day, if I'm able to supply, let's say 10, and Mr. B was able to supply maybe 20, at the end of the day, the season, they collate them and then put them together and then forward them to Accra, their head office. So that is how it is done.
So was there a bidding process you partook in? That a bidding process you partook in? You maybe won the bid, and so you were then picked or selected by due process to provide this.
It means when you say bid, it means maybe contractor A, contractor B, and then I will bid for 20 CDs, and then contractor B will bid for 10 CDs, and then maybe at the end of the day, contractor C will bid for 5 CDs. So the 5 CDs will be chosen. This one, they have their figure. Previously, it was 1 CD 20 pesos, and then it came to 1 CD 50 pesos. So they have their figure. They will tell you this year is 1 CD 20 pesos, it's 1 CD 50 pesos. So raise this quantity. That is how it is.
I see. So now that government owes you about 28 million. How are you getting your money back? So it means that this year, your group was not part of those who supplied government the seedlings. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Earlier on, we said we heard that they've written letters to all the districts, telling the district officers or district managers that they should not contract any contractor to supply any. Where they are getting the seedlings for this year's Green Ghana, that one we can't tell because none of us were asked to supply. None of us. And the questions we are raising now is, where did they get the seedlings from? Even they had the seedlings, the one who raised the seedlings, when they pay that person, so who raised the seedlings? They are not Ghanaians like us. They are Ghanaians like us. So why is it that the Ghanaians are like us and we have raised seedlings and they are not paying us, and would the people be paid? Why are they paying? Why are they doing that to us? For the past 3 years, and you know the trauma and hardships that people are going through. It's not easy. No, people are dying.
But you have a contract with government. You just told me, if you have a contract and the other party is not fulfilling his side of it, I mean, there are options available to you to enforce your rights under the contract.
Yes, there are options, but you know, yes, there are options. There are so many options. We can't just get up and say, oh, we are going to do this or that. We first talk to them. We've been going there. We've been talking to them. They've been having previously write a letter, do that. So at the end of the day, we see that we are not seeing any fruitful results. Seriously. So we have put some measures in place now. That one I cannot disclose what we are doing now. We are petitioning a very respectable person. After that, if that fails, then maybe we will advise ourselves.
Who is this respectable person? The chief, I guess.
If you are going to a war, I think you don't disclose your strategy.
No, but you have a contract. You have a contract. You can go to court and enforce the contract, can't you?
Yes, when you get there, when the time is due, and there is a need for us to go to the court, we'll go. But for now, we are also on a different path. All that we are appealing to them is that Nana Akufo-Addo, you are our children. We beg you, please. People are dying. Some people have their houses pasted with that they want to. They are even at the edge of losing their houses. They don't even have money to go to hospital. We are dying. Every day, police are chasing us. The creditors are looking for our money, and it's true. They also need their money for their businesses. You see, why should they treat us like that? It's bad. Seriously. We are sad, as if we are not Ghanaians. As if we are not Ghanaians. And we started these Seedlings not these 2 years ago, long ago. Long ago. Every day, every year, we have been supplying government. Until quite recently, that YEA and other things, during on His Excellency Kufuor's side, we were supplying. We're supplying.
I see.
Even if you owe a person, like let's say 2 cedis, you can call them. Look, ever since we came to the media, telling them that they should pay us, they have never called us. Even to sit down with us. We've heard you. We appreciate your concerns. Please give us time or this or that. None.
But the minister, the deputy minister, Benito Usubia, have you met him? He said that his ministry is actively collaborating with the finance ministry to pay you. So it means that your concerns are before him.
When is the collaboration going to end?
So that's what he said. He said so today.
When is this collaboration going to end? He said this since some months ago. Yes. He said this since. We thought even last year that when we started making a little noise, we thought but now we should have been paid. He said that we are going to be paid.
Very well.
And now, so nothing. One person has not been paid to the members. Why?
Very well, very well. But it's only quite strange that you have a contract and you do not know how much you are owed, but you expect the minister to pay you some amount of money. That is it's a bit curious for many people.
The minister have a data. The Energy Forestry Commission, they have a data.
But what is on your contract? How much, what was your contract sum?
If you ask me, what is your company? And I say my company is Company B. And you ask me how much is the government, I'll be able to tell you.
Okay, so the totality of what you are unable to say.
The totality is what we are unable to say.
Very well.
That's correct.
I see.
That's correct.
Thank you so much, Samuel Amo, a member of the Plantation and Seedlings scheme. They say government owes them a lot of money. Government says it owes them 28 million Ghana cedis. And today, the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Benito Usubio, who also chairs the Green Ghana project, says that his ministry is actively collaborating with the Finance Ministry to expedite the payment to the seedling providers. Let's hear him.
They've not been paid. Yes, we accept that. Yes. We are in talks with the Ministry of Finance and they are working something out for them. This year, unfortunately, we could not buy from them. All these that you are seeing have been raised by the Forestry Commission themselves, just because we don't want to add on. We want to clear the old debts before we can add. So that's why we did that.
No government is doing his best to administrate this country, but there are some recalcitrant people who always cut these trees down. Would you call for any punitive measures in this direction?
The laws are there and the punitive measures are there. Once you are caught, the law will deal with you, especially for our forest reserves. Those places are no-go areas. Yes. But then, those who cut the trees down in their homes and then in our neighborhoods, that I would say the bylaws of the various district assemblies have stipulated that you need permission to be able to do that. And so we are in talks with the Ministry of Local Government to ensure that the various MMDCs would rise up to the occasion and ensure that they will actually educate the citizen on the need for them to preserve the trees, and even if there is the need for them to prune or cut, they need to get an expert to advise them before they do that.
So you had the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Benito Owusu-Bio, speaking there and trying to address the concerns of the seedling suppliers who say they have not been paid. Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. We'll take a short break, return, and do more, including your messages. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa!
Bobo, so how's your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you, can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Using a condom will protect you and your partner from HIV, STIs, and unplanned pregnancy. Condoms are an effective way for protection against HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission and Ghana Health Service.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. My name is Salom Adun, and I'm here with Akosua Ochri. Your messages have been coming in thick and fast. Let me take a few of them. Emil Akwensivi in Boso says the president is only paying lip service to greening Ghana, but within the presidency, they are destroying the forest by engaging in galamsey. Action must follow the words. Anafena Nuku says Kisija, being the special prosecutor himself, must be arrested and investigated. The arrest of the Nobel professor. Okay, so this is not a story we're discussing today. Jones Adoboinla says it's obvious the Green Ghana has become an avenue for corruption. This is the third Green Ghana day we are witnessing, but nothing really shows the number of trees mentioned can be seen anywhere. This government continues to shortchange Ghanaians at every least opportunity, not even an audit on the first two. Sad, you say. Otuo from Abeka says, so where are the 23 million trees planted over the last 2 years? It's a shame we are quiet. We will wait until they leave power before we start complaining. Can you journalists cross-check this? Can you imagine the land mass 23 million trees will cover? It appears to be another avenue for chop-chop, just like the COVID. God save Ghana, you say. Kokun Lapa says, I have been living in Ghana over 20 years now and yet to see a single tree planted by this government anywhere. I live in Accra, but I've traveled across the country. I'm yet to see any of the trees planted. This one says, on the tree planting on Green Ghana Day, I think it's useless because after spending huge sums of money planting the tree, the inaction of some of the staff of Forestry Commission contributes to depleting our forest. I can boldly attest to this as a former staff of the Forestry Commission. You say, well, let's get into something else, which is quite related to this. Galamsey, the media coalition against Galamsey, met with the CID boss today, and they expressed their frustration at what they call the seeming lack of prosecution of the directors of Akunta Mining Limited in the face of clear evidence of mining in a forest. They petitioned the CID. They attached some evidence that they feel should have assisted the CID in carrying out its work. But it appears that after several months after that petition, very little has been done in their view. So they met with the CID boss today to iron out some issues. Convener for the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, joins me on the telephone for a quick interview. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. How was this meeting called? Who called the meeting? At whose instance was this meeting held?
Well, thank you very much, Salam. You remember that your team, the Media Coalition, you petitioned the Attorney General and then the IGP on this Akunta mining issue. Mm-hmm. And then also myself, Martin Pebu, Sananu, and my colleague, this pharmacist from CDD. The four of us. Kwame Seedling, we petitioned the Director General CID on the same case. And so for the coalition's petition, the Attorney General responded and said that he was not close with the power of primary investigation, but was rather investigating bodies like the CID and co who were to do that. And then the IGP also responded and forwarded that he has forwarded the petition to the Director General CID. So Martin, as a lawyer, has been following up on the four of us our petition, and we've also been following up to see what is going to happen. And there was very little really that we're hearing in terms of concrete things that have been done. So based on that, we wrote again to the IGP again, copied the Director General CID, about the same petition, and did some follow-ups, with some calls. And so we then got a call from a chief inspector who said, the boss had asked for a meeting. So we went and we met the superintendent of police in charge of the intelligence unit. And so this is how this meeting came about.
I see. So you told the CID boss that you were frustrated at the snail pace of work. What was her response to that bold thing you said to her?
Well, so, in our letter we had stated so, and when we went into the meeting and we were granted audience, we were asked, typically the way Ghana, they will tell you about, they would ask you, Amane, so then, we stated clearly that, this was unbecoming for a case that you had ample evidence. The minister for the sector had issued a statement boldly saying that these people did not have a license to be mining in the Tanonimri Forest Reserve. The Minerals Commission, who as the regulators, they issued the permits, also collaborate that. And then we give you ample evidence in terms of video footage that show, the devastation that has happened over 13 hectares of land in the Tanonimri Forest Reserve, and even provide you extra evidence of the fact that even where Akunta mining had permits, they were not obeying the buffer between where their concession is and then the Tano River, and then you police yourself. You had gone into Samaboy where there was a clash between Akunta mining and the people of Samaboy because of the fact that they were mining in the Tanonimri Forest Reserve. There was enough ample evidence to say that, to prove that the Akunta mining team had sinned against the Minerals and Mining Act. And so by now we're expecting that, after this long period, some actions would have been taken and the case would have been going to court. So, when we stated that, they apologized for it seeming as if nothing was happening. And they said apparently they really have been working on the case. They have even presented interim reports that had to do, that needed extra work to be done, and that they were actually looking into the case. And so, whatever it is that they are going to do, they were going to do. So they gave us those assurances. But some of you and I know that if you take our constitution, sovereignty resides in the people. And then the same constitution also for you, the media, gives you the mandate to hold leadership to account. And our president, in his very first, inauguration, told all of us not to be citizens, but not to be spectators, but citizens. So, with assurances that have been given, if that is going to work, then City FM and other media houses, you need to make sure that you are on the Director General CID, the IGP, the AG, the judiciary to ensure that the likes of the directors of Kunta Mining and then other influential people, including the Bosome Frehu, MC, former MC, caught on tape, confessing to an illegality, and the likes of Aisha Wang, these influential people are actually brought to book. So that we don't have the situation when the AG tells us that these prosecutions have been done, these are the convictions that have been got. When you go through the list, there is no persons of real influence and people who we know actually are the people behind this amongst part of that list. That has to stop if you really want to win this fight against this against illegal mining that is an existential threat.
Good one there. So we will be doing our part. Indeed, we are City FM. We are solidly behind you in the fight against Galamsey. I will continue to do what we have to do to ensure that our water bodies are not further contaminated than we currently have, and indeed properly. So they get cleaned up or regenerated, if that's the word to use. Thank you so much for all the work you do. We'll be following
Thank you,
this.
Solomon, but I think it's important. I'm sure you heard the German ambassador also talking about, the consequences that is going to come even.
Exactly, yes.
Exactly. And that's where we are going. And you see, I have seen some footages that have been shown to me by some pathologists. And if you see the babies we are producing, babies that have 4 legs, babies that, you see fetuses, stillbed fetuses that have 6, 7, digits and all of that. The impact increasingly is becoming something else. And unfortunately, when all of this fight was going on, the improvement that we saw and the guarantees that have been given to us, the situation now is worse. And so it's really important that leadership have to take an action. In as much as today we are out there planting trees. If you take the contaminating issue, for example, the amount of trees, old trees that were cut away from those forests, and the trees we are planting today, in as much as we want to plant trees, it's important. As they say, a bird in hand is better than how many? So we need to ensure that we safeguard our forests, safeguard our cocoa that has been our mainstay, and then not go supporting this illegality that smuggles, and steals about $4 billion out of us without us getting it. So it's important that all of us, we get civil society also supporting the cause of yourselves and the media to ensure that we get leaders to do what they ought to do.
Very well. Thank you so much, Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe. Thanks so much for your effort and your fight in this regard. Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. Now, some 17 NDC MPs who lost their part in their party's recent parliamentary primaries have pledged support to work to bring the NDC to power. And they say that they will do whatever they can within the remit of the law and in their power to ensure that John Mahama becomes president in 2025. Indeed, they met the flag bearer of the party yesterday, and the Deputy General Secretary of the party, Mustafa Gbande, has joined us to provide us some updates on this particular one. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. What do they really have any option? Because it's better their party wins power than being in opposition. So was it even necessary to declare any such support?
Yeah, so good evening and thank you for having me. I think that basically, yes, they had options. They would have chose to take in a back seat. They would have chose to allow the defeat dampen their spirit. They would have, in other cases, become a problem to the party. But I think that respectfully, when you look at the list and the number of people who have met the leader of our party, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, it is obvious that these are people of vast experience. These are people who have carried themselves well in the party and the conduct of their work. And so having to commit to ensure that the leader of the party becomes the president of the Republic of Ghana is a good call for the party. It's a good show of loyalty to the party. It also demonstrates commitment on their part to do that which the party would have ordinarily expect them to do, without anyone, having to sit down and to reconcile with them. It also shows that they have, psyched themselves to go to the grassroots and to support their constituents, support the ones who have won the election, irrespective of the differences that may have ensued during campaigns and other things. So for me, it's a good call from our members of parliament, and I think that the leader of the party is demonstrating leadership in the right direction as far as the spirit and letter of the party is concerned.
Very well. So I guess you are in Asin North, and a lot. I hear after the meeting, all the 17 have moved to Asin North. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So what's the mood in Asin North as we speak? What can you tell us there?
Well, we have a lot of work to do, particularly that we are campaigning on good faith and trying to maintain the member of parliament for Asin North. So we are currently on the ground, touching base with the constituents, speaking to them on our commitments and the reasons why they should maintain the Chikwesin, who today is a victim of circumstances of injustice, circumstances of political witch hunt from the MPP and government. And that will be juxtaposed with the goodwill that he has with the people. It resonates on the ground. What he has done so far as an MP resonates on the ground. And his relationship, his gentility, his posturing as an individual resonates with the people across the two political divides. Both NDC and MPP, and that's good for us as a party.
Thank you so much, Mustafa Bande, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Thanks so much for speaking to us. We wish you the very best in your undertakings in Asin North constituency. It's time for business. We'll cross over now to the business news, after which the City Business Festival Honors Series will continue. And tonight, we bring you a summary of this week's Honors Series on the digital economy as part of the ongoing City Business Festival. Eyewitness News, don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know your papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Papa! Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you. Can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz. And he switched. Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation Movement World Cup like that? Sorry, Chairman Mane. Chairman. Hey, Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer. The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244-308-111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. City Business News. Be informed.
Time now for City Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citybusinessnews.com. Let's settle for the details now. Ghana recorded a 32% increase in gold production last year, enabling it to win back the top spot from South Africa as the largest gold producer on the continent. Gold output rose to 3.7 million ounces in 2022 from 2.8 million ounces the previous year, driven by growth in the output of both large and small-scale sectors. This was disclosed by the president of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Joshua Mortoti, at the 95th Annual General Meeting of the Chamber in Accra.
The production and export of Ghana's main minerals recorded mixed performance in 2022. While the output of gold and diamond increased, the production of bulk minerals, namely manganese and bauxite, declined year on year. The country's gold output, thankfully, increased from 2.8 million ounces in 2021 to 3.7 million ounces in 2022, due to concurrent growth in the output of both large and small-scale sectors. This translates into a 32% increase in production in the gold subsector. The large-scale gold subsector recorded its highest output in the country's history in 2022. Notably, a combination of fresh output, and expansion of production at existing large-scale mines drove the large-scale sector's contribution to national gold output from 2.7 million ounces in 2021 to 3.1 million ounces in 2022, representing an increase of 13%.
That was the president of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Joshua Mortoti. Still in the mining industry, the Ghana Chamber of Mines has rehashed its commitment in ensuring that mining exploration is done in a sustainable manner, although its members are threatened by some challenges such as attacks by illegal miners on their concessions. Here is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Dr. Suleiman Ukoni.
As indicated in my 2021 report, that the Chamber in 2022 will continue to pursue its goal of positioning Ghana as the mining support services hub in West Africa, as well as promote sustainable and responsible mining. This is something very dear to our heart, and we continue to pursue that. However, this quest is threatened by the worsening security situation in the mining industry. Our members are under attack on two fronts, fiscal as well as physical. On the fiscal front, the lack of predictability and the constant tweaking of the fiscal regime, even for companies with development and investment agreements, which frees their fiscal terms, is a worry for investors. These same investors have their in-country assets and people, i.e. employees, under siege by illegal miners who invade concessions and destroy properties with impunity and mostly without consequences. Despite these headwinds, our members continue to work hard to meet the obligations to key stakeholders, particularly the states and host communities.
That was the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Dr. Suleiman Ukoni. You earlier heard the President of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Joshua Mortoti, speaking on Ghana's increase in gold production last year. Moving on, the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors has raised concerns about the adverse impact of the government's gold for oil policy on bulk oil distributors operating in the country. Speaking to City Business News, the CEO of the Chamber, Dr. Patrick Kwekufori, emphasized that this policy came as a surprise to the distributors, placing them in a difficult situation as they now have to compete directly with the government. He's been speaking to City Business News.
In addition to that, is also the critical constraint that the operationalization of the depot has bring to the supply chain, whereby members who are also importing products to meet their contracts with the OMPs that don't necessarily pick products from the depot, and then to also even supply their mining companies have to pay extra demurraging because of the port post get special preferential treatment. So that's the latents, and then they avoid queues, could create additional waiting time for vessels that the private sector is bringing. So these are some of the major challenges that we think that the whole concept GFO is putting undue pressure on our limited resources, coming from the challenges of last year, the depreciation of the currency.
You heard the CEO of the Chamber of bulk oil distributors Dr. Patrick Kweku Ofori. And finally, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority has assured of strategic collaborations with players within the manufacturing sector to spur economic growth. The authority explains that the manufacturing industry has the potential of creating decent employment for the teeming youth in the country if it leverages on modern technology and trade standards. These comments were made by the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of GEPA, Albert Kasim Dirua, at the opening of the ProPac Ghana exhibition in Accra.
Ghana Export Promotion Authority is closely in collaboration with our esteemed partners that has been actively engaged in promoting the growth of Ghana's export-oriented industries, including packaging, processing, and printing. We firmly believe that this sector holds immense potential to accelerate economic development, create employment opportunity, and facilitate trade diversification.
That was the Deputy CEO of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Albert Kasim Dirua. And that's it for City Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citybusinessnews.com. My name is Netele Nete Ajahu. Have a good evening.
City 97.3. Accra.
Hello and welcome to this week's special summary of the honor series of the City Business Festival 2023. This week has been all about the digital economy. Our guests, 4 of them, have been educating us about the space and how your business can tap into these prospects. Well, in case you missed out on any of those insightful conversations, worry no more. You should be able to get all the takeaways in the next 30 minutes. I am me, Latte. Thanks for your time and welcome again. On Monday, we kicked off with Franklin Asare. Franklin is the Chief Executive Officer of TechGov, a digital technology firm. His topic was understanding the digital economy. And if you don't know what this whole digital economy is about, listen to him simplify them into what he likes to term as the layers of digital architecture.
Well, the education that we have is skewed towards a lot of knowledge for industry. Mm-hmm. I finished Pope John 1982 Form 5. Wow. I can still quote Archimedes' principle. The upthrust on an object immersed in a liquid is equal to the weight of liquid that it displaces. Wow. June 1982. But that was for the industrial era. The education that we require now is the education of the digital and the tools of the digital. Mm-hmm. And we need to include that in our education. And I have already pushed that certain universities actually teach the digital skills, not just the coding, even in the ability to use the tools. If you meet the people who are very averse in using WhatsApp, there are things they can do with WhatsApp that you and I don't use. Mm-hmm. And I believe we have to actually teach it and teach it properly. Facebook, in terms of, Facebook is a social marketing platform. That's what it is. How do you use it to promote your business? That's education by itself. And I believe that if it is done and done properly in this age that we live in, called the digital era, we'll be able to use the tools well and be able to leverage it to be able to create new business models and new businesses out of it to very much help the African to be able to break through, so to speak.
You mentioned that COVID-19 further exacerbated the need to acquire digital skills.
Absolutely.
Because of the way the world became.
Absolutely.
And then you listed some basic skills like computer literacy.
Yes.
Email usage,
yes.
Web research.
Yes.
These things seem very obvious, but there are still a lot of people who work who don't know these things.
I think that, well, allow me to say, I think that COVID-19 in a roundabout way was a blessing because it was a wake-up call. It means now that you need to be able to work comfortably from home. So if you're a professional, You need to be able to have all the tools to be able to work from home. You need to know how to use your email well, your email tools well, your Zoom, your MS Teams, very, very well now. You need to be able to share a file, and I know that is a problem for many. And this kind of, and I think there's some workshops, maybe 2-3 hours, and that opens up business opportunities for people to get into that space.
So the first stage in building it is to acquire the skills. But that's just one side. What's the second thing that you need to think about?
Storage.
Storage.
Because data is the new oil. And where you store the data matters. Because the ability to leverage the data stored can create several businesses. So if we store the Ghanaian data, say, in a country somewhere, and we want to mine that data, the opportunities that accrue to us and ability to mine that data would be for those countries who have the access to that data. I'm trying not to mention names, but I guess you see where I'm going. If we put our data on our own data platforms, we can create businesses to mine those the data that we place on those platforms. And Bernard, that's my greatest concern, because we cannot see the opportunities that are available in putting data on our own platforms. I'm talking about cloud platforms. They should be Ghanaian cloud platforms. In the digital world, if you have storage, then you have land. Because your ability to grow and develop depends on your land in the industrial era. In the digital era, it's your platform for storage.
Wow.
And the ability to mine that platform for information and decision making. That's what makes you powerful.
It's funny because in economics, you are told there are 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and enterprise.
That's correct.
So in the digital economy, the land is the storage.
Absolutely.
The labor then becomes the skill.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, investment is investment. That's capital.
That is correct.
It doesn't change.
That is
and
correct.
an enterprise is enterprise. That's what it is.
That is correct.
I've never thought about it like that.
That is correct. So your ability to have land called storage in the digital is very, very powerful and very, very important. But this is a business opportunity. When we start saving our storage on our own storage platforms, we can now invite the Amazons of life, the Googles of life, to come into that space in partnership with us, where the partnerships are with Ghanaian companies, and we break out and we do very well out of it. At the moment, we are not creating these opportunities. They have all the data, and they are mining the data.
So skills as a base.
Yes.
Storage is the next level.
Right.
After that, where do you go?
Connectivity.
Connectivity.
The ability to connect bandwidth into the storage, almost like a lens, to be able to see into it. The cost of that transmission is connectivity. That cost has to come down in a digital economy so that the development of services can be done at an appropriate or good or competitive rate internationally. So at the moment we have data services available, we need to look at other sources as well in partnership with our development partners. Now, in that layer alone, there are a lot of business opportunities. Setting up of payment platforms, one of them. The management of some of these payment platforms, and making sure that they are compliant, etc. I'm talking about business models already coming out of that particular layer. But the point about integration is that they need to be able to talk to each other. Because we have a lot. I'll get to database in the next level. But because the integration layer doesn't allow us to talk, it limits our ability to use the tools at the top, which are the databases.
Is integration the ability to say, having all these agencies speak to each other?
That is correct.
Is that what you're trying
and
to
much deeper. If you want to go and apply for a DVLA license, they should be able to use your passport photo in your license application without having you to go and take another photo.
Wow. So your health card, for example, so you are the one and same person, so your Ghana card, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So you are integrating different sets of data so you can minimize cost and also be more efficient.
That is correct.
Amazing.
That is correct. So that is a level we haven't reached. And therefore it makes it...
Let's talk about databases, because you can't discuss integration without discussing databases.
Absolutely.
So what do you mean by databases, and why is that so critical in this, your model?
Well, I come from Oracle, so certainly I have a passion for databases. A database is almost like an IT cluster that allows you to... This is the revised standard version from Asari, that allows you to capture information and to be able to group that information by indexing that information. So you can have a database of people, you can have them into gender, male and female, you can have them into age brackets. Now that database, via the integration layer, via the connectivity layer, points to storage. I'm looking down now. The databases need to be managed well. In the way we capture, in the way, and I'll talk about cybersecurity later, in the way we protect it, in the way we formalize a certain level of consistency in what we capture. And to be able to say that this data is relevant, this data is dormant.
So let's assume I'm listening and I run a shoe factory.
Yeah.
Or I sell spare parts. Why on earth should I be interested in digital skills, storage, connectivity, integration, database? It sounds like, Charlie, Professor.
But I think that there are several levels in our business environment that we need to guide and lead and handhold, and I respect that. But I certainly think that if the same spare parts person, for example, you should be aware that the generation of children that they have will be in the digital era and prepare them. And for him or for this father or for this mother, realize that their kids in addition will also have to have digital skills and develop them. But it is possible that these warehouses in Abuso, Kain, and other places can have a database of the parts that they have without having to go there and look for whether you have a small part for my car or not, and being able to search it online and see what is available.
So you can sit behind the computer and know exactly where whatever you're looking for is and
Absolutely.
call for it instead of going to rummage through.
Absolutely. And this is a business opportunity now for somebody. And if somebody wants to do it, they should come and speak to you and we can talk about it.
So your point is that these things have applications even for the normal businesses we do. It's not esoteric.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Interesting.
Tuesday's discussion centered on the changing payments landscape with Andrew Techiapia, a founder and CEO of ZP. For him, nothing is more critical than a strong payment settlement system that facilitates smooth business operation.
I think we need to have a real look and rethink about regulations when it comes to banking. If you take your average commercial bank, it's capital, it's funding agric, it's funding manufacturing, it's funding the today fintech, it's funding all these different industries.
Yeah.
They are stressed. Do you see what I mean? The time has come for us to start asking ourselves, don't we need a settlement bank that its core focus is just settling offshore on behalf of local banks, like we do with Citibank, but this time resident in Ghana. So if such a bank existed, what they do is they operate something called warehouse loans, which they take from offshore entities, not just banks. So anytime there's a payment, Bank A says, this is the money I want you to pay on my behalf. I'll put in a safeguarding account. This is the instructions on it. You paid offshore out of your warehouse lines. So the money never leaves the country. Do you see what I mean? So you start to take the pressure off the city. But it needs a lot of regulatory look into and rethink.
And you're proposing a settlement bank as one of the solutions?
As one of the solutions, not just Ghana, but across the continent.
Interesting.
Right. Then the other thing is we also need to expand, and I suppose that's what the governor does very well. We need to expand the base of what brings in supply, which is why fintechs like us came into the market. We're very sector-driven, we're very sector-focused. You rightly put it, we're remittance-focused, so that we can bring in a lot of dollar into the market and allow the market to play. Do you see what I mean? Then also, another thing that has become very critical and necessary is we need to look at the type of transactions we're doing. Sometimes some of the monies are moving out because of fear and panic, right? So maybe if we allow for outbound, which the banks are already allowed to do, but we simplify the outbound processes and made it bank sort of secondary regulated, it would also enable money to move out in retail components and take out the fear and panic that sometimes exists in the market.
That's interesting.
So that's the beauty about trade and money in Africa. Everybody sees it from a very abstract perspective. But trust me, the funds are actually moving locally. A lot more. You asked about the cross-border opportunity. So the payment opportunity in Africa is estimated to hit 40 billion by 2025. But cross-border, which includes trade, it's estimated to hit in excess of 200 billion in the next 3 years.
So it's a multiple of the payments.
Yes, it is. Because and it will be the nickels and dimes. It will be the smaller trade sizes.
So the payment is what will let the trade go bigger. One of the questions people ask is, okay, so people can send me money from US to or UK to Accra. Can I send money from Accra to my friend in Kenya? Is that something you guys should be thinking about? Or if I had relatives in South Sudan and I'm an expert in South Sudan, I want to send money for my son's school fees in Accra. Is that possible?
Let me answer you in the reverse. So from the 1st of June, on our platform, you can do it out of 6 African countries. You'll be able to send, Zambia is live, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, Gambia, etc. You can send to 199 countries. If you add Gambia, it'll be 200, the origination country. Ghana, we've been in Sandbox for the last 2 years. And
so it's actually possible in other countries. So even though you're a Ghanaian company, you are ahead in other African countries than you are in Ghana in terms of the regulation and the speed to get this done.
I won't say it that way. I
mean, that's what you are saying.
What I'm saying to you is that the regulator has to be comfortable and confident that there will be market stability.
Wow. So Ghana has a human capital, a respect thing on the content that we are even not milking.
You're respected. You know what I mean? You're respected. You're treated differently because they assume that you have the IP and you have the know-how. Even the South Africans, they do respect us in South Africa.
Wow.
And I'm excited, and I'm hoping that a lot of Ghanaian companies will spring up the way we've sprung up. I encourage them as they are coming right from day one, put a lot of governance into perspective, put a lot of play in, so that people will do what? Will respect you more.
But have you ever wondered how you can leverage and tap into the digital space as a business? Well, that was our conversation on Wednesday with Benedict Bento, a senior manager, enterprise marketing and portfolio management at MTN Ghana.
If the people's mindsets are not changed to start, using digital solutions, then you have a problem. There's also the trust ecosystem where somebody wants to actually physically inspect something before they pick it up. Whereas in probably the more developed, systems, there's an escrow, and then when you pay the money, until you are satisfied or you signed off on the quality, the payment doesn't get to the vendor. So these are some of the things that will shape the conversation when it comes to these big shops. Most of them do not have that full-fledged online portal where you can click, buy, and get it delivered. Some do, but even that, it's not on a top notch. But when they do get that, there needs to be that trust ecosystem where the person knows they are getting the quality of what they have paid for, and therefore they don't need to go and line up and pay cash. They are comfortable sitting at home and ordering it. I think we have that particular system in place now with our Momo marketplace. Okay. And anything that you purchase there, at least there's a certain level of trust when it comes to the vendors that are displayed there. And that has been driven from Jumia to now, I think a lot of platforms trying to create that. In our Momo marketplace, there'll be those trusted vendors. You purchase the item, same as you would have walked to a China mall or whatever, and you get it delivered. But once that trust ecosystem is established, it's easier, people are more comfortable. And then we still need to drive that education. There are still people sending their children to go and do Momo transactions for them when probably they could have done it themselves. Drive the education when it comes to the data, the smartphones.
Tell me about MTN Marketplace that you speak about, because you mentioned about trust, but there's also things like inventory management.
Yes.
And then deliveries.
Yes.
The logistics around that. So is it that you guys have bought a lot of products and put them in some warehouse, and then when I want to buy, you bring it, or you've connected different small sellers who manage their own delivery?
Yes, so essentially it's the latter, like you mentioned, getting that ecosystem of vendors who would set up storefronts in the Momo marketplace, and then it wouldn't be efficient for us to stock all these things. So basically the vendors or the SMEs on board there, and they're able to sell their wares from wherever they are. It's a whole network of logistics, payment, and then the customer and then the provider, and that forms that circle of trust where you know what you're paying, you get the value that you want for it.
So what kind of people usually will patronize? It seems to me as if maybe students, younger people are more ready to experiment. Or how is your customer base a reflection of the Ghanaian mindset about e-commerce?
You are right, but let's not rule out the fact that there are still some people who, like the older people who still purchase online, sometimes just out of comfort. But you're right in terms of the demographic. Largely the younger people are more embracing towards, online transactions. I think I know someone who purchased a sofa and it came and it was the size of the phone. Apparently the person didn't read the dimensions.
Oh, Lord.
So I think the younger people are more particular about the specs of what they are getting. So it's easier for them to do these online transactions. But if the safeguards are in place, I think everybody is standing to take an advantage of this.
So what are people typically selling in these e-commerce platforms? And what else do we need to put on these platforms for it to really explode?
Okay, so initially it was just things like clothes, shoes, phones,
mobile phones.
Yes, stuff like that. I think you remember those times, Ton and Co.
Yeah.
But then it transitioned into a lot of food as well when we went into lockdown. And a lot of food deliveries were happening, a lot of services as well. So you can order plumbing services and etc. all through this marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And then after services, I think the gap that we have now is probably things like courses and stuff like that. Maybe even getting government to start putting some of their services there, like getting your passport and everything. It doesn't need to sit in there, but it can take you on a link to a secure government site where you can do all that. So public services need to be there. I think we need to put some education courses there as well, try to empower people through these platforms. And then basically, then you have covered the entire ecosystem. But right now, I think everything from cars to phones to clothes is being sold
Maybe
online.
it's left with building materials that people will put on there.
Yeah.
But clearly, there needs to be education from the supplier side.
Yes.
For them to know, because again, I do read announcements on air where a company will say, we don't sell online because they are fraudsters. How serious is the issue of cybersecurity and fraud as a disincentive to the growth of this place? Because some of the companies that come on my show say, please announce that we don't sell online because there are people who are trying to dupe people on social media.
Yeah.
So how much of a disincentive is cybersecurity and the lack of it in terms of how this will grow?
Okay, it's a big factor. I think a lot of people, I keep mentioning the trust ecosystem because it's a big problem in Ghana. I think it's just the past few years that we've been able to actually establish addresses, and now we are registering our phone numbers as well. So now I think it's slightly safer than before, where now if you are dealing with this individual, there is a record of the person's location and details. Now, when it comes to a company like MTN, we are moving away from... we're actually moving towards the online. If there's anybody who is not selling online, we are moving all our services online. The business community will be able to get all their services from the business hub. Apart from that, the general public can also purchase goods and services from the mobile money marketplace as well. And for these two, at least we can confirm that we've gone through the credentials, the security, every failover that is possible for us to identify, and then put in what actions will be taken if somebody is duped or something like that. I think if we are able to clearly show these kind of customer journeys that are fail-safe, I think customers will start to trust the online more.
And so now that you know what the digital economy is, how crucial it is to the payment systems, and how to take advantage of it, what more is left? The money bit. So we wrapped up the digital economy talks with Claude Ajina Samoa, head payments and digital commercialization at APSA, giving us some great insights on financing the digital economy.
How important is the payment function in an economy? Because I'm seeing whole businesses built around payments, which I find quite fascinating. So is there something that we don't know? When we say payments, what are we talking about, and why is it so important these days?
Thanks, Bernard. So simply, we have some goods and services that need to be exchanged. And this time we are exchanging them via online, digital, virtual, whichever means. Okay, and that is where payments come in, because we are taking out the cash and we are using another enabler channel. So if we talk about payments, we simply want to say Bernard has his simple shop on the website, e-commerce business, and Claude wants to buy some kente. So Claude goes in there and then effects the payment, and Bernard hands over the kente to Claude. Simply that. That's simply the payment. There are various channels. There are various ways of doing this. You can do this via Momo. You can do this via cards. You can do this via transfers. Whichever means that you want to undertake or execute your business, that is available to you.
Because traditionally, in the example you gave, Bernard wants to buy something, a kente material from your shop.
Yeah.
He walks to his branch of ABSA.
Good.
And he goes to sign a check.
Good.
And they give him the money. He puts the money in his pocket, takes a trotro, and goes to
that shop.
The shop to buy what he buys. You're basically saying that whole thing has changed.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to go to the shop.
No.
He doesn't have to go to the bank.
No.
But what he uses to pay for the kente is still money.
Exactly. It's money, but this time it's electronic.
Yeah. So he doesn't even need paper.
He doesn't need paper. Paper is becoming extinct gradually.
So he doesn't go to the shop, but he sees the product.
Yes.
He doesn't go to the bank, but he gets access to money in his wallet.
Correct.
And the wallet is not in his pocket.
No.
It's on his phone.
Yes.
He sends the money to Claude.
Yes.
Claude receives the money, but there's no paper exchanged.
No.
So the companies that facilitate all of this are the payment ecosystem companies.
Correct.
So elaborate. So because I know there are so many types, right? So there's you guys who have the real money.
Yeah.
There's the Momo guys. So if the money is in the form of Momo, which is sort of a translation of my CDs into that.
Yeah.
But there's also a company that's making the money move. All right? And there's another company that's helping the guy receive it.
Yeah.
And probably put it in a place that comes back to you.
Yeah.
Like
the whole ecosystem.
I need to break that down.
Okay. All right. So let me take it step by step. So today, I'll start internally. So today, ABSA has a customer, a business customer. Okay. That business customer has, let's say, let me use a POS terminal. So Bernard can walk into Bernard & Co. company that sells kente. And they tell Claude that the price is 1,000 cedis, and Claude can pay with his card via the terminal. That's one place. So this money comes directly into the merchant's account that probably sits with us.
So I have a card.
You have a card.
So that card I can either insert or tap.
Exactly.
And it draws the money.
Correct.
That's point one.
That's point one. Point two, Bernard has a website. And on the website, he's running an e-commerce business.
Selling different things online.
Selling different things.
Displaying them.
Exactly. Shoes, money, bags, whatever. And Claude goes onto that site and he wants to buy a shirt or a locally made shoe by Bernard's company.
Yes.
So Claude picks the shoe and Bernard says that is 500 cedis.
Then he goes to the checkout.
Yes, he goes to an order form.
Yes.
So there's an order form.
Summarizes what I've bought.
Thank you very much. And then I input my details there.
Yes.
So I bought one shoe. This is the amount. I want to
Calculate
deliver
the tax,
everything in there. And then I click. Once I do that, the money moves. In this instance, it can be two ways.
So before when you click on the order form, it takes you to the payment type.
Good.
So either Momo or bank card.
Very good.
Or some wallet of ZPay or something.
Very good. Very good. So at that point, you then choose where the money is stored. So is the money stored in your account? Is the money stored in your mobile wallet? Or is the money stored in
some other wallet?
In some other wallet. You choose it.
So let's assume it's in the bank and it's on my card. Then I put my card details and then I go.
Very good.
If the money is Momo, it takes me to my Momo.
Very good.
Then if the money is in a wallet of any of these companies.
Anybody, maybe it's Ghana Pay.
Then it takes me there.
Exactly.
It could even be Gips something.
Exactly.
Wow. So then the technology behind all of that, there are companies that make that happen.
Exactly.
Interesting. Now, what about the guy who's selling? So yes, I'm the one buying. So the guy who's selling also has to have a way in which he can make all these possible payments available on his site.
Correct.
And then link all these monies to his main account.
Correct.
So whether I pay with Momo, my card or that
whichever wallet,
it will go to his ABSA account in his house or wherever.
Or whichever nominated account
he wants.
Yes.
So he can even create a separate account for it.
He can create a separate account.
So what advantage does this give over the traditional thing? Because in the traditional, I know who you are. I give you the money. I saw your face. All right. So I go online, I do the payment, and then it says it goes through. Maybe internet was not working. Or I did it, and for some reason, I missed some number. Do you get me? So you need to explain to me that this is an advantage. I know it's convenient. I don't want to sit in traffic. I don't want to come to your shop in Abu Brusi. But I still want the shoe.
Yeah.
So can you compare and contrast the advantage and disadvantage of this system you have created with your partners as against Bernard coming to your shop and giving physical money and saying, Charlie, if you tell me you don't have the money, you're in trouble. You know?
Okay, so Bernard, let's look at it from this way. So first and foremost, let's look at it from the cost to serve.
Yes.
Okay, today, Bernard does not need to go and rent a shop and have to pay rent, pay utilities, maintain the shop. All that money, Bernard is going to save them because Bernard just needs to have a small room in his house or in his car, and all the goods are in there. Some people even act as brokers. The wares are in a warehouse somewhere, stored somewhere. So once you choose them, he goes to get them. So cost to serve is one advantage. The second thing is the reach. If you have your shop at Agbogboshi today, until Bernard walks in there, he doesn't know that you have this product or that product. But online, you can imagine the reach, the number of people that.
So the whole country, the whole world can see in my shop.
Yes,
that's amazing.
Exactly. So the reach again is amazing. You get to maximize the opportunity that sits in that space. Again, let's talk about the speed. Okay, so I see it, I can have it now.
So then somebody will get the delivery to send it to me. Immediately I make the payment.
Quickly.
Good.
Quickly.
Well, that has been it for this week's on-air series of the City Business Edition. Just 1 week gone. 3 more weeks to go. But I'm sure you picked up something for the digital age as a business. I'm also glad that you did the listening. The City Business Festival 2023 is powered by City TV and City FM in partnership with APSA and is proudly sponsored by MTN Momo, MTN Business and ZPay with support from Gesal. Stay with us to get informed the more. I am Ni Lati. Catch you again. Bye.